Iran fires ballistic missiles. Mystery planes. Scrambling two nations struck within minutes of each other. No warning, no negotiation, and while the missiles were still in the air, a series of unmarked aircraft began moving across Iranian airspace, heading to locations no one has been able to identify. What were they carrying? And why now? Welcome back to WW3 Global Report. If you've been with us before, you already know how fast situations like this can change. So before we go any further, we'd like to ask a small favor. If this channel has helped you understand what's really happening in the world, consider subscribing. It costs nothing, and it helps us keep bringing these briefings to you. And we'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Let us know in the comments below. Now, let's get into it. It began without warning. In the early hours, air defense systems across the United Arab Emirates detected something alarming. Missiles were incoming. The Ministry of Defense moved quickly, issuing an urgent alert to the public, urging citizens to seek safety immediately. At first, no one knew exactly where the missiles had come from. Some believed they had been launched from Yemen. Others suspected a different source entirely. Within hours, the picture became clearer. Iran had launched ballistic missiles directly at the United Arab Emirates. At the very same time, Houthi forces in Yemen launched a separate set of ballistic missiles towards Saudi Arabia. 2 attacks. 2 different countries, happening within the same narrow window of time. This was not a coincidence. Analysts believe the timing suggests a coordinated effort between Iran and its allies in the region. The UAE's Ministry of Defense confirmed the details shortly after the attack. According to their statement, air defense systems detected multiple ballistic missiles launched from Iranian territory. One missile landed outside UAE territorial waters. A second missile fell within them. The ministry stated that the country remained on high alert, fully prepared to respond to any further threats. Officials also urged the public to rely only on verified government sources for updates, warning against the spread of rumors during the crisis. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, the situation unfolded in much the same way. Houthi missiles streaked across the sky, prompting immediate concern among Saudi defense forces. Video footage, circulating shortly after the launch, appeared to show missile trails rising from Yemeni territory, consistent with the timeline of the attack. For a brief period, confusion spread across the region. Officials from multiple countries worked to determine exactly what had happened and who was responsible. By the end of the day, the answer was confirmed. 2 allied forces, 2 separate missile launches, 1 coordinated moment of aggression against 2 of the region's most prominent nations. The attack raised immediate questions about what would come next. For years, tensions between Iran and its neighbors in the Gulf have simmered beneath the surface. Diplomatic efforts, sanctions, and quiet negotiations have all been attempted at different points. But this latest incident marks a clear escalation. It is no longer a matter of rhetoric or warnings. Real missiles were launched, real alerts were issued, and real people were told to seek shelter. For the United Arab Emirates, a country known for its stability and economic growth, the attack represents a direct challenge to its security. For Saudi Arabia, a nation that has faced repeated missile and drone attacks from Houthi forces in the past, this incident adds to a long and troubling pattern. Both nations now face a difficult question. How should they respond? Military retaliation carries serious risks, including the possibility of a wider regional conflict. But restraint could be seen as weakness, inviting further attacks in the future. Regional analysts note that this dual attack may be a signal, a message sent by Iran and its allies to demonstrate their reach and capability. By striking 2 nations simultaneously, they may be attempting to show that they can create chaos on multiple fronts at once. This raises the stakes for any future negotiations. It also raises concerns among other Gulf nations, who may now be wondering whether they could be the next target. As the region absorbs the shock of this attack, one thing becomes clear. The situation is no longer contained to quiet tensions and diplomatic statements. Missiles have been fired, alerts have been issued, and the region now waits to see what happens next. In the following section, attention turns to the waters of the Strait of Hormuz, where another incident was unfolding at nearly the same moment, one involving commercial shipping and a direct threat to international trade routes. While missiles were still falling over the Gulf, another crisis was quietly unfolding at sea. A bulk carrier moving through the Strait of Hormuz was suddenly struck by an unknown projectile. The vessel was hit on its starboard side, causing visible damage to the ship's structure. 1 crew member was reported wounded in the attack. This was not an isolated event. It marked the 2nd commercial vessel struck in the region within a period of roughly 12 hours. For a waterway as critical as the Strait of Hormuz, this pattern is deeply concerning. The strait serves as one of the most important shipping routes in the world. A significant portion of the world's oil supply passes through these waters every single day. Any disruption here has the potential to affect global energy markets, shipping insurance rates, and international trade at large. Details about the exact source of the projectile remain unclear. No group has taken official responsibility for the strike at this time. However, the timing raises immediate questions. The attack occurred during the same period as the coordinated ballistic missile launches against the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. Analysts note that this timing is unlikely to be coincidental. A pattern appears to be forming, one that includes missile strikes on land and now direct attacks on maritime vessels passing through one of the most sensitive waterways on Earth. For years, the Strait of Hormuz has been considered a flashpoint in regional tensions. Naval forces from multiple countries operate in these waters, including American, Iranian, and allied Gulf state vessels. Previous incidents in this corridor have included the seizure of tankers, underwater mine threats, and direct confrontations between military vessels. This latest strike adds to a long list of maritime incidents that have plagued the region in recent years. According to official statements, a naval blockade remains in effect in parts of the strait. Authorities have also confirmed that previously placed water mines have been removed or safely detonated. Despite these measures, the waterway remains vulnerable to unconventional attacks, including missile strikes, drone attacks, and direct assaults on unarmed commercial vessels. The economic implications of these attacks cannot be overstated. Shipping companies operating in the region now face increased risk, which could lead to higher insurance premiums for vessels passing through the strait. Some companies may consider rerouting their ships entirely, adding significant time and cost to global trade routes. Energy markets are also watching closely. Any sustained disruption to oil tankers moving through the strait could lead to fluctuations in global oil prices, affecting economies far beyond the Middle East. For military planners, this development adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Protecting commercial shipping lanes while simultaneously managing missile threats on land requires significant coordination and resources. The question now becomes whether these maritime attacks will continue, and if so, how allied nations plan to respond. Some analysts suggest that heightened naval patrols may be deployed in response to these attacks. Others believe that this could lead to direct confrontations at sea, particularly if further vessels are targeted in the coming days. The international community has yet to issue a unified response to these maritime incidents. However, given the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz, it is unlikely that these attacks will go unanswered for long. As tensions continue to rise on multiple fronts, all attention now turns to another unfolding mystery, one taking place not on the ground or at sea, but in the skies above Iran itself. Unmarked aircraft have been observed moving in and out of key locations, raising serious questions about what or who is being transported during this critical moment of escalation. As missiles fell and ships burned, a quieter mystery was unfolding above Iranian soil. Aircraft with no identifying markings began appearing at key airports across the country. One such aircraft, a large unmarked plane, landed in Tehran under circumstances that remain unexplained. No flight plan was filed, no manifest was released. No explanation was given as to where the aircraft had originated or who was aboard. This alone would draw attention during ordinary times. But arriving in the middle of a coordinated missile attack, its presence takes on far greater significance. The mystery deepened further when a separate aircraft was seen departing from Tehran at the exact moment the missiles were launched. This aircraft also carried no visible markings, filed no flight plan, and broadcast no flight number. It simply lifted off and disappeared toward an undisclosed destination. On the same day, another unmarked aircraft was tracked departing from Shiraz, heading eastward toward a remote mountainous region known to house underground military installations. 3 separate aircraft. 3 unexplained movements, all occurring within the same narrow window as the missile strikes and the naval attack in the Strait of Hormuz. For military analysts, this timing raises immediate questions. Why would unmarked aircraft be moving at the precise moment of a major military escalation? Several possibilities have been raised, though none have been officially confirmed. One theory suggests these aircraft may be transporting military equipment, possibly air defense components needed to reinforce vulnerable positions after recent strikes. Another possibility is the movement of high-ranking personnel, potentially relocating officials or military leadership to secure locations away from likely targets. A third theory involves the transport of financial assets, such as cash or gold reserves, moved to prevent seizure or loss in the event of further conflict. A fourth possibility centers on the movement of military advisors or foreign personnel, potentially arriving from or departing to allied nations. Without official confirmation, these remain theories rather than established facts. However, the pattern of behavior is consistent with actions typically taken by governments preparing for extended conflict or anticipating retaliation. This is not the first time unusual aircraft activity has been reported in the region. In the past, unexplained flights have coincided with periods of heightened military tension, often followed by confirmation of significant developments days or weeks later. The current situation follows a similar pattern, leaving analysts to closely monitor flight activity across Iranian airspace in the days ahead. Some military strategists argue that controlling this airspace should become an immediate priority. By limiting the ability of aircraft to move freely, opposing forces could prevent the transport of military supplies, personnel, or assets during a critical period of escalation. Others caution that such action could further escalate tensions, potentially triggering a broader and more direct confrontation. Adding another layer to this developing situation, reports indicate that a foreign nation has been supplying military resources to Iran through a separate route. According to available information, shipments including explosives, drone components, and ammunition have been transported into Iranian territory by way of the Caspian Sea. This route provides a direct and relatively secure link between the two nations, allowing for the resupply of military stockpiles that may have been depleted during recent conflicts. If accurate, this resupply effort could explain part of the urgency behind the mysterious aircraft movements, as Iran works to reinforce its military capabilities on multiple fronts simultaneously. The combination of ground-based missile attacks, maritime strikes, and now unexplained aircraft activity paints a picture of a nation moving quickly and quietly, even as global attention remains focused on the more visible aspects of the conflict. What remains uncertain is the ultimate purpose behind these flights, and whether similar activity will continue in the coming days. As the world watches the skies above Iran, questions continue to outnumber answers, and with tensions already high following the missile launches and maritime attacks, every unexplained movement now carries the weight of potential consequence. Attention now shifts to the diplomatic response unfolding on the world stage, where officials have begun addressing the escalating crisis directly, and where the possibility of further conflict looms larger than ever. As the missiles fell, ships burned, and unmarked aircraft moved through Iranian skies, the world turned its attention to Washington for a response. The answer came quickly, and it left little room for ambiguity. Officials confirmed that there are currently no negotiations, no talks, and no scheduled conversations taking place with the Islamic Republic of Iran. This statement effectively closed the door on any immediate diplomatic resolution to the crisis. For months, various channels of communication had remained open, even during periods of heightened tension. Now, that door appears to be firmly shut. Alongside this announcement, officials addressed the current status of the Strait of Hormuz. According to the statement, the naval blockade remains fully in effect. The strait itself remains open and operational for shipping traffic. All previously placed water mines have reportedly been removed or safely detonated, reducing one immediate danger to vessels passing through the corridor. However, recent attacks on commercial ships suggest that new threats have already replaced the old ones. In a separate development, a public statement referred to the Strait of Hormuz as territory belonging to the United States, a claim that has been suggested previously but never formally established under international law. This statement, shared through official channels, adds a new layer of complexity to an already tense situation, raising questions about how this claim might influence future military and diplomatic decisions in the region. At the same time, reports have emerged regarding potential troop movements within the Persian Gulf. According to sources familiar with internal discussions, military leadership is reportedly considering whether to reposition American forces currently stationed in the region. This consideration comes after several military installations sustained damage during recent Iranian attacks. The head of Central Command is said to support ongoing discussions about potentially relocating troops westward, away from bases that remain vulnerable to further strikes. While no final decision has been announced, the fact that these discussions are taking place signals growing concern among military leadership regarding the safety of current troop positions. Some analysts believe that any troop repositioning could be interpreted as a strategic retreat, potentially emboldening Iran and its allies. Others argue that protecting military personnel should take priority, even if it means adjusting troop locations in response to the current threat level. Adding further weight to the situation, reports continue to indicate that a foreign nation is actively supplying Iran with military resources. Shipments of explosives, drone components, and ammunition are said to be moving into Iranian territory through a maritime route connected to the Caspian Sea. This resupply effort appears aimed at helping Iran rebuild stockpiles that were depleted during recent conflicts, potentially preparing the country for an extended period of confrontation. If accurate, this support raises broader concerns about the involvement of external powers in the ongoing regional crisis, and whether this conflict could expand beyond its current boundaries. Taken together, these developments paint a picture of a region standing at a critical crossroads. On one side, diplomatic channels have effectively closed, with officials confirming no active negotiations are underway. On the other, military resources continue to flow into the conflict from multiple directions, both from Iran's own mobilization efforts and from external support through foreign supply routes. Meanwhile, discussions about repositioning American forces suggest that military leadership is preparing for the possibility of continued or escalating conflict in the near future. For the nations directly affected, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and any other potential targets, the coming days remain uncertain. Questions remain unanswered. Will further missile attacks follow? Will maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz face additional threats? Will the unmarked aircraft continue their unexplained movements, and if so, toward what final purpose? And most critically, how will the United States respond to a situation that appears to be escalating on nearly every front at once? As of now, no clear resolution is in sight. Diplomatic doors remain closed. Military positions remain in flux. And the region continues to hold its breath, waiting to see what happens next.